Hello everyone, my name is Nick, and it's once again the end of the month, so it's time for another houseplant haul video. So we're going to go over all of the plants I've acquired over this last month, the month of December 2019. And I can't believe it's time for another houseplant haul video. I feel like I'm sitting down like every week to do one of these videos. Time is just flying by so fast. In fact, I can't even believe it's the end of the year. I can't even believe it's the end of the decade. Time is just going by so fast. Anyway, the first group of plants we're going to go over in this video is going to be Hoyas and the Hoya relatives. So the first one I have to share with you guys today is this Hoya lacunosa. I believe this is Hoya lacunosa snowcaps. So this is just a more splashy version of Hoya lacunosa. Now, Hoya lacunosa is commonly referred to as the cinnamon-scented wax plant. So not for the plant smelling like cinnamon, but the blooms or the flowers smell like cinnamon. I actually have another Hoya lacunosa in my home that is just about to bloom if it hasn't started to bloom already, and I will get to see if it lives up to the hype of its name, so I'm very excited about that. This Hoya I purchased with a peduncle on it already, you can kind of see right here, so that's very exciting. I got this one from Pepper's Greenhouse, so I went back to Pepper's Greenhouse, which is in southern Delaware, which is more of a destination greenhouse that's kind of curated towards the collector. They do have an online store where you can order from, which I'll remember, if I remember, I'll leave in the description. But this is one of the plants I got from them. I was very excited to find this when I was there. And I also got another Hoya from them, which is this Hoya nummalarioides. Now this Hoya isn't anything spectacular in terms of foliage, but what I really enjoy about it is the little fuzzy leaves. So I've been really getting into like fuzzy plants such as like primolinas and apicias over the last year, and I've also been really getting into Hoyas, so that kind of is a match made in heaven right here, having a fuzzy Hoya. So I've just really enjoyed this, and it also has a little bit of new growth on it that you can kind of see right here, which is really exciting to me because often when I bring Hoyas home, they don't really do much of anything for a little bit of time. It just takes a little bit of time to get them chugging. So I was really excited to see that this one's already growing for me last week after I've had it for like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks now. So really excited about these two Hoyas that I got from Peppers. And I also have one more plant that falls into this category of Hoya-ish. This is a Ceropegia. This is a hybrid. I don't know exactly what this is. This is a hybrid of some kind of cross between Ceropegia woodii or Ceropegia linearis woodii, which is just your standard string of hearts. But this is crossed with something that its leaves are a little bit more spadix or spade shaped, so they call this string of spades. And it has still that kind of standard Ceropegia leaf pattern to it, but instead of being heart-shaped, it's spade-shaped. So I have a grower out here in my area of the United States. His name is Gary, and he is who grows these out for me, and he calls this heartless string of hearts, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, I can tell from the way this plant has been growing for me over the past few weeks that it is going to be a very vigorous grower, pretty much along the same lines as Ceropegia woodii, the plain string of hearts, which is a very rapid grower. So I feel very confident that if I give this plant the same care as that plant, it's going to grow just as swimmingly. Next, we're going to go over all of the aroids that I acquired this month, and in case you're unfamiliar, an aroid is a plant that falls into the Harrisiae family of plants. So that includes plants such as Philodendron monstera, a Peperomia, which even just includes your standard golden pothos. But we're going to talk about Aglaonema today. So this is commonly referred to as Chinese evergreen, and this one right here is a Aglaonema stripes. So this is a hybrid of Aglaonema, and I am obsessed with this foliage. I've really been eyeing up this plant for a few years, actually. I'd seen this plant on eBay a number of years ago, but I just never wanted to necessarily order a Chinese evergreen online because they're not the rarest of plants. I knew I would stumble across it eventually. And I was able to get these plants in stock ever since I've been the buyer at the store where I work. However, I was never able to get them in small enough planters for my liking, so I was only able to get them in like 8 or 10 inch pots, but I finally have been able to get them in 6-inch pots over the last month or two, and I wasn't like ready to bring it home yet, so I just like kept ordering them. I was like, I know I'm gonna want one eventually, but I just gotta keep ordering it. But then finally, in the last few weeks, I ended up bringing one home. So I have this one right here. I got this yellow pot for it that I really like. But yeah, Aglaonema are really excellent beginner and low light houseplants. They just don't want to be over or under watered, so you're probably going to be watering them between like a period of like 2 to 3 weeks or so. If you push those boundaries either way, I find they kind of they usually get a little bit yellow. Their lower leaves will typically turn yellow as the first thing that they do when they're in distress. But if you're underwatering it, the leaves will probably get a little bit wilty. But they should recover upon watering over the course of a few days. But definitely best to err on underwatering these plants, although you do want to kind of find that balance. There's another Aglaonema that I got this month. Let me just put this down. This, well, I actually don't know exactly what this is. So this is an Aglaonema, I can tell you that much. I got this one from my friends at Exotics, which is another houseplant store in the neighborhood of Philadelphia where I work. And they were selling this, well, they purchased this more so as Aglaonema pictum, but they weren't exactly positive if that was that. And after doing a little bit of research, I'm not exactly positive either. I don't really know. If you guys know what it is, please let me know. I can totally see why the grower thought this was Aglaonema pictum from the way that these younger leaves look. Sorry, my light's kind of reflecting, but the lower leaves totally look like Aglaonema pictum, but some of these older leaves don't. But regardless, I love this plant. It was a good deal and it's gorgeous. The leaves are a little bit thicker than most of the Aglaonema commutatus that I've grown in my home. From looks of like a little bit of research, it looks like it could be a species Aglaonema commutatum, but I could have just been seeing like stock images on Google, you know what I mean? Like I really don't know. So that's why I'm kind of turning to you guys right now to let me know if you have any insight on what this Aglaonema might be, because I fell in love with it and I had to have it. So yeah, I really love that one from my friends at Exotics. I have one more aroid to share with you guys today. This one is a doozy. So this is a Philodendron IMBE Variegata. I got this one from Pepper's greenhouse as well, although I did purchase this one online, so it was a separate transaction than the one, you know, the transaction I did in store. Actually, a little bit of a backstory about this plant. The first time me and my good friend went to Pepper's greenhouse, when we were paying, the owner of Pepper's was checking us out, and he could tell that we were plant people from the amount of plants we were each buying. So he was like, I want to show you guys a plant. Don't freak out. It's not for sale, but it's really cool and it's in the works and you're probably going to love it. And he pulls out one of these and I was like, oh my god, it's so cool. And I asked him how much he was selling them for when he is selling them, and he said $25. So I made a mental note to check their website every now and again, and earlier this month they had it in stock. So I went ahead and placed an order and it came looking like this, which is fantastic. This leaf right here was still curled up and it has unfurled since, and it's got some really beautiful variegation. A little heavy on the white, so hopefully it, you know, holds back a little bit, but a really beautiful plant. I cannot believe how good of a deal this was. I honestly feel like if I purchased this plant wholesale from the store where I work, like from my broker, I feel like this plant would still cost more than $25. So I really do consider that an incredible deal. This is definitely one of the best plant purchases that I have had all year. So I'm super excited about this Philodendron IMBE Variegata. Next, we're going to talk about some Tillandsias or air plants, which is rather exciting because I don't think I've ever actually highlighted any air plants in any of my houseplant hauls before, likely due to the fact that I don't really successfully grow them, so I don't think about them that often, but I do really enjoy them. They are quite a vibe, and I'm really excited about the way that I'm growing these ones in particular. So I have this Tillandsia mount right here. So this is something that I do at work. I make a bunch of like mounts, like I showed you guys recently in a recent video, how I mount ferns or other epiphytic plants to cork bark, which is what this wood is right here. I do other things at work, like make terrariums and kokodama and things like that. While I'm the buyer, I also need to keep busy on the 2 to 3 days that I do work, so I do things like this, and that's a lot of fun. This is something we just recently started doing. My boss actually had the idea of doing this. I think she saw something similar online and she kind of wanted to work with it a little bit, so we were gluing this wood to the cork bark and then putting these air plants in it, which is really exciting. And I kind of went to the next level and just glued on some preserved mosses and lichens, or this is reindeer moss right here, just to give it a little bit more pizzazz and make it almost feel like I just ripped this off a tree. I wouldn't want to ever do that, but you know, just the way it almost looks is literally like as if I just like chunked it off a tree in the wild and then just growing it on my wall. I had a really small sliver of wall space in my kitchen that I was looking for something for, and this was just the perfect thing to put on that little wall space. So it really has taken that little area to the next level. I really enjoy this, and I'm realizing I've been talking about this for 2 minutes now and I haven't even told you what these air plants are. So this one up top, the larger one that's a little bit more thick and whiter, this is a Tillandsia harrisii, or harrisii. And then this one down here that's a little bit more grassy, and you can see the trichomes or the little crystals on the leaves that are showing up pretty well on the light of the camera. This is a Tillandsia IONANTHA. So both of these are rather common air plants that you would find in your local houseplant shop. And how I care for air plants typically is I spray them over soaking them. I really think I have a little bit more control on the amount that I'm watering them if I'm spraying them rather than just dunking them in water. And then after I spray them, I set them upside down to dry so I can remove these out of the mount. They're just placed inside the wood where it is convenient. But yeah, I just really enjoy this way of growing air plants. I think it's really, really funky. Hopefully growing this on a wall, which is a little bit more closer to a window, will find me a little bit more success in growing air plants and also remind me a little bit more to water them. It's definitely a little bit hard to keep up with watering air plants sometimes. You just kind of don't necessarily gauge it as well compared to soil. Like, you know, soil's dry and you know you need to water them, but it's a little bit harder to tell when to water your air plants. But we usually recommend watering them at least once a week at work, so that is what I do in my home. Next up are the Peperomias that I got this month. So this one right here is so cute. This is a Peperomia verticillata belly button. So this is just a hybrid, I believe, of Peperomia verticillata. It's just a little bit more rounder and less taco shaped, I want to say, than the other Peperomia verticillata that I grow in my home. That was a horrible description, but this plant is so cute. It's very fuzzy and it grows vertically, so I think that's actually what the name is referring to. Verticillata, I think, is like vertical, and then like cillata, or is like the cilia, like, you know, like cilia that's in your nose, so it's a very like fuzzy plant. It's very fuzzy stem, fuzzy leaves, it's fuzzy all around. This plant is just so awesome, super cute. I've really enjoyed growing Peperomia verticillata in my home, so I really was excited to find this little cultivated variety, so it seems, at Pepper's greenhouse. So super, super cute plant, loving it. I'm growing this on my kitchen counter and it is just so adorable. I could say that 10,000 times. And then I also have this Peperomia red Ecuador, which is from the same grower that I got the string of spades from, the Ceropegia that I talked about earlier in this video. This Peperomia, I don't really know if red Ecuador is the accurate name for this plant. I've had some people reach out to me and say that it is the verticillata red log, but there are quite a few differences between that plant and this plant, so I don't believe that to be the case. But it's got this beautiful red underside, very, very smooth stems and leaves, and they're very round. It's really, really, really out there Peperomia. I haven't really seen this other than grown from my grower. I'm looking at another one right now that I've been growing in my home for a number of months, and that thing has just gotten so wild and crazy that just a month ago I was like, I think I need to scale it back and get another one in my home that's just a little bit more compact and smaller. So I just recently got this one to kind of satisfy that craving, but it's so cute. I think that these two Peperomia that I got this month are just super cute, very, very similar looking, but I'm growing them in completely different areas of my home, and I'm just getting a very similar vibe from both of them. Last but not least, I just want to go over the odds and ends for this month, so the plants that don't necessarily fit into another category for this particular video. So this one right here is an Aeschenanthus, or lipstick plant. This one is an Aeschenanthus evrardii. They commonly refer to this one as the flamethrower lipstick plant. And these flowers are really beautiful. I would dare to say that this is the most beautiful flowering lipstick plant that I have personally laid eyes on. And the foliage is really nothing spectacular. I feel like this plant would probably get passed over pretty readily if there was no flowers on it. It does have kind of a Hoya imperialis vibe to it, so if people are into that, they might notice it. But I feel like the standard houseplant enthusiast might not even notice this plant if it weren't in bloom. So I have to admit, this plant was like totally in bloom when I found it in the store, and that was something that really caught my eye. But the owner of Peppers, he also mentioned to me, he said that this lipstick plant is like the easiest one that he has grown and is the one that is most prolific when it comes to flowers. So I thought that was really interesting. He said he was a little bit shocked as to why this plant is not a little bit more common in cultivation, which I would have to agree if that is the case. But yeah, the flowers are really, really beautiful. This plant was in full bloom. All of these were all blooming when I purchased the plant. So hopefully it will continue to do that for me and will prove to be an easy grower. So I'm just growing this one next to my variegated lipstick plant that I'm growing in my home and hoping that it will grow just as prolifically as that one. Although that one hasn't actually flowered for me, but I'm not really interested in those flowers nearly as much as these flowers. So this is what I'm into. And another plant I got from Peppers, the rest of the plants I'm going to be talking about in this video are all from Pepper's greenhouse. This is a Dracaena REFLEXA. This one is, I think, sometimes referred to as like a Song of India Dracaena. This one's just so tall and out there. I was looking for something to go on the top of a shelf in the back, so something that you would, would have some height to it, but it also would need to be a low light plant. So I thought this Dracaena would be a good one. I know that Song of India Dracaenas can take a little bit more light than say your standard corn plant or like Dracaena marginata, but this one I just wanted to give it a go. Honestly, it was like $3 or $4, so I'm like, if it doesn't do very well, it's not a big deal. If it loses a few leaves and then I can move it to a better area, it's not something I'm dropping a lot of money on. I think you all get what I'm saying. But yeah, a really awesome plant. I'd never seen them this tall in a 4-inch pot before, and for such a good deal. So I thought this would just be like the perfect thing to do. In fact, I was kind of tempted to get like 3 of them and just like shove them in a pot and put it on the floor because they're tall enough, and then they're just gonna keep on growing. So I was a little tempted to do that, but no, I stuck with my original plan. I don't even have a space on the floor for this, quite frankly. I think you are all pretty much aware of that. And then I have one more plant that I got from Peppers. This is a Rhipsalis, and I have no idea, once again, what kind of Rhipsalis this is. The name that was on the tag I googled and literally nothing came up. So they sold it as Rhipsalis by Cod, like B-A-I space K-O-D, and I could not find very much anything about that. I turned to Instagram, and a few of you were saying like Rhipsalis elliptica, which I already grow in my home, and it doesn't look like this, but perhaps this could just be a one that grew in different growing conditions. One of my friends suggested it was, oh, I can't remember exactly what it was called. I'll put the name of it on screen. So that could be the case, although it did look a little bit different, but the lady who recommended that to me is a very, she's a renowned succulent and cactus grower, in my opinion, so I would take her word for it. But this is just such an interesting plant. I don't normally buy plants that I am completely unaware of, but this plant, I was just like, that is so cool. I have to have it regardless of whatever it is. So I'm super excited about this funky Rhipsalis, if it even is a Rhipsalis, who knows. But yeah, really cool. I'm always looking out for new jungle cacti. Peppers has an insane selection of jungle cacti, so every time I'm there, I've found myself picking up at least one. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for joining me today for my December houseplant haul. The last houseplant haul of 2019, the last houseplant haul of the decade. How crazy is that? I'm really hoping to take as my friend Maria from Bloom and Grow Radio says, a plant pause in this upcoming year. Just for the beginning of the year, I would really like to just kind of ever so slightly scale back on my collection. I've been really taking care on setting up my home to kind of just like look the way I want it to look and be a little bit more satisfied. So I've just been kind of focusing in on like planters and organization. So basically that's my way of saying hopefully I don't have a January houseplant haul, but I'm sure there's going to be a few wish list plants that I acquire. So if there's no January houseplant haul, there will definitely be a February houseplant haul, but hopefully I can stick true to my word. I'm kind of saying this out loud almost to hold myself accountable, but we will see. Who knows what is going to come on the horizon. The new year might bring us a bunch of cool new plants that I have never seen before that I absolutely have to have. So we will just have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for an incredible 2019. I don't believe this is the last video I have for the year, but just in case, I do want to wish you all a happy new year and happy holidays. Thank you all so very much for all the support you have given me, not only this year, but since I have started YouTube. I am so appreciative and so grateful to have such an incredible audience. But thank you guys again for watching. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at phillyfoliage, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day!